Welcome to a new episode of Weekly Chew. On this week's show, we'll be showing you how to make awesome possum beef stew. Let's get started. For this recipe, you will need 3 packs of stewing beef, 2 900 milliliter cartons of beef broth, about 3/4 cups to a cup of red wine, 5 carrots, 2 small onions, 1 5-pound bag of yellow potatoes, 1 celery stalk, and 1 whole package of fresh mushrooms. The first thing you want to do is to prepare your veggies. Start by slicing up your onions. After you've taken off the first layer and then cut them in half, we're going to do them julienne, which means they're going to be thinly sliced. Once you're done with the onions and set them aside into a bowl, we're going to peel our carrots. Since we don't want to take too much off, we're going to use a potato peeler. That way, you don't take too much off. Once you've peeled them, we're going to dice them. Remember, we're making stew, so you don't want to cut them too small. Nice big bite-sized pieces is what you're looking for. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut your mushrooms. Once you've cleaned them, we're going to trim the stem and then cut them in half. This is all we're going to need to do for the mushrooms, since their size will drastically change when they're cooking. Now that the veggies are cut and set aside, we're going to start cooking our stew beef. We're going to turn the burner on to a medium-high, which is about a 6 or 7. And then we're going to pour about 4 to 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into the cooking pot. You might need a little more or a little less oil, depending on how big or small your pot is. But remember, you want enough to evenly coat the bottom of your pot. Once your oil starts to slightly smoke, we're going to start browning our beef. Being careful not to overcrowd your pot. This is because if you do, your meat will boil, and we don't want that. We just want to sear and brown the meat. Just a little side note. Prior to cooking, you'll want your beef sitting at room temperature for at least a half hour. Why? If you used cold beef, it would actually cool down the temperature of your pot while it's cooking, and we don't want that. Now that it's starting to brown, after about 3 or 4 minutes, we're going to flip the beef and brown the other side. Since we have 3 packs of beef and we obviously can't fit it all at once, we'll be repeating this step until all the beef is browned.
I'll put it back to 7.
So remember, put one uncrowded layer of beef into the pot, brown, flip, and brown again. Remove the meat and repeat this until all your beef is done. You'll notice we haven't cleaned or wiped down our pot. That's because what's in the pot is all flavor, and we want to keep that, but more on that later. Just remember, don't wipe down or clean your pot. Keep that remnant. It's going to come in handy a little later on. Now would be a good time to open our wine. There's plenty of red wine available, and it's all about preference. We're using a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not too dark or too light. It's really in the middle. As you can see here, the beef that we've had sitting to one side has let loose its natural flavorful juices, which we're going to put right back in the pot along with the meat. Now that the last of our beef is browned, we're going to set it all to one side and continue by sauteing our veggies. Remember what we said about the remnants of our beef and how we're going to keep it? Well, this is what you want. That there is all flavor.